Chosen one. Heaven has something specific to say to you today, and it cannot wait. Not because God is urgent in the way that fear is urgent, but because what is being revealed in this season is time-sensitive in the best possible way. If 111, 444, or 555 has been appearing to you, especially when this relationship comes to mind, type the number that keeps showing up. The lid is coming off something that has been sealed for too long. A truth that has lived in the shadows of your closest relationships is being brought into the light. And the relationship heaven is speaking about right now is not a stranger. It is not a coworker. It is not someone from your past who is easy to distance yourself from. It is someone who shares your blood, someone who sat at the same table, someone who calls herself family, chosen one. Heaven is exposing a sister in your life, and the truth that is coming out is not small. You have felt it for a long time, that quiet unease that settles in when she is around. The way certain conversations leave you feeling smaller than when they began. The strange pattern of things going wrong right after you shared good news with her. The sense that the version of you she presents to others is not quite the version you actually are. You dismissed these feelings more times than you can count. You told yourself it was overthinking. You told yourself that family means giving the benefit of the doubt. You told yourself that if something were truly wrong, you would know it clearly. But chosen one, you did know it. You have always known it. The knowing was not unclear. The knowing was simply too painful to fully accept. Today that changes because God has a different kind of love than the kind that protects people from necessary truth. God's love is the kind that exposes what is hidden so that healing can actually begin. And what He is exposing today is not meant to destroy your family. It is meant to deliver you from a dynamic that has been quietly stealing from your life for years. Type Amen if you have felt something was off in this relationship, but kept excusing it because she is family. Chosen one. I want you to understand something about who you are before I tell you what she has been doing, because the story of her behavior begins with you. Not with your weakness, but with your light. You have always carried something that was difficult to explain. A sense of purpose that did not fit neatly into the container of ordinary life. Type this. I carry something that no one else's management of my story can reach. A capacity for things that other people around you did not seem to feel in the same way. A pull towards something greater that refused to be silenced no matter how many times you tried to quiet it down and just be like everyone else. That light was visible to her from the beginning, and it made her deeply uncomfortable in ways she may never have fully named even to herself. Because your light did not just illuminate your own path, it also illuminated the spaces where she was not walking in the fullness of what she was made for. Every time your favor became visible, it was a mirror that reflected something back to her that she did not want to see. Type. My light was not the problem, it was the evidence. Every time you were chosen, recognized, elevated, or blessed, it reminded her of a call on her own life that she had not answered. And rather than dealing with that discomfort in herself, she found it easier to manage you, to dim your light, to keep the ceiling low enough that the comparison stopped hurting. This is where the behavior began, not in hatred for you specifically, but in a deep, unresolved discomfort with what your life revealed about hers. You became the problem she tried to solve by making you smaller, chosen one. Let me now tell you specifically what she has been doing. Not in vague spiritual language, not in metaphor, but plainly. Because you deserve to see the pattern clearly so that you can finally stop wondering whether what you felt was real. The first thing she did was manage the story of who you are to the people around you. She was careful about this. She did not say obviously false things about you, because obvious lies can be corrected. Instead, she used something more surgical. She took what was true about your struggles, your failures, your difficult seasons, the things you shared with her in trust, and she placed them in the wrong frame. She described your quiet periods as instability. She presented your sensitivity as a weakness. She talked about the times you fell short in ways that made those moments sound like your defining characteristic rather than temporary chapters in a larger story. She did this gradually, consistently, and always with the language of concern. She sounded like someone who cared, but the effect was always the same. The people who heard her came away with a smaller, more uncertain picture of you than the truth warranted. And you noticed it. You could feel it in the subtle shift in how certain people received you. A guardedness that was not there before. A slight hesitation before they responded to your news. A quality of not quite believing you when you spoke about your hopes. You could not trace it back to its origin because she had been careful to cover her tracks. But your spirit knew. The seed of doubt that appeared in those relationships did not grow there naturally. It was planted. Type "I receive this" if you have felt that someone close to you has been quietly rewriting the story of who you are. Type "Amen" if your spirit is receiving this as confirmation and not as information. There are people watching this right now who have carried this knowing alone for longer than they can easily explain. If that is you, this is your confirmation. Through the link in the description, the pinned comment, or the code on your screen, plant a seed today, not as a transaction, but as the act of someone who just had what they carried in private witnessed by something greater than any human acknowledgement. If the code is visible on your screen right now, let that be its own signal. Scan it. Bring into that seed the specific moment you felt the pattern most clearly. The moment your spirit knew before your mind was ready to accept it. Place that knowing inside the seed, and trust that the same heaven that recorded what she did is recording this act of faith. The second thing she did was position herself as the stable, dependable version of family, while ensuring you looked like the complicated one. Every family dynamic has roles, and those roles are not always assigned by truth. Sometimes they are assigned by whoever gets to the story first and tells it most consistently. She understood this, even if not consciously, and she worked within it. She made herself available in the right moments. She showed up when it mattered visibly. She said the right things to the right people at the right times. And whenever the dynamic created a moment of contrast between her steadiness and your complexity, she made sure that contrast was noticed. She did not need to do anything dramatic. She simply kept showing up as the reasonable one, in proximity to you being framed as the difficult one. And over time, that contrast became the accepted version of reality within the family. The cruelest part of this pattern is how it isolated you. Not physically, but relationally. The family members who absorbed her version of events without question created a quiet barrier between themselves and you. You were still invited. You were still at the gatherings. But there was a layer of glass between you and the full open reception that should have been yours in your own family. You felt it at every table, in every conversation, present, but not fully welcome, included but not truly seen. Chosen one, what you felt was real. You were not imagining it. You were not being paranoid. You were perceiving something accurate that everyone around you had been conditioned not to see. The third thing she did was intercept your seasons of elevation. This was the most strategic and the most damaging. Whenever something significant was beginning to open in your life, a new opportunity, a season of breakthrough, a relationship that was moving in a good direction, a calling that was beginning to find its footing, she would find a way to be present in that moment in a way that created friction. It was never obvious. It was a comment that introduced doubt at exactly the wrong time. A conversation with a key person in your life right before an important moment. A piece of advice that sounded wise, but steered you away from the very thing that was aligned. She did not always know she was doing it, but the pattern was consistent. The timing was always too precise to be accidental. Because those who carry deep unresolved jealousy toward someone they love develop a sixth sense for the other person's moments of breakthrough. They can feel when something is beginning to move, and rather than celebrate, they find a way to stand in the current of it. Not to destroy it loudly, but to divert it just enough that the full manifestation is delayed or diminished. You can look back now and see it. The opportunities that stalled in ways that did not quite make sense. The relationships that cooled right after certain conversations. The moments where you were so close to something real, and then something shifted, and you could never quite identify what. Some of those shifts had her fingerprints on them. Heaven is showing you this not so you can build a case against her, but so that you can stop blaming yourself for outcomes that were interfered with. Type justice if you receive the truth that what held you back was not your own failure, but interference that heaven saw and is now addressing. Type, I receive the truth that heaven recorded what I could not prove. Before we continue, I want to speak to what was just said. Heaven has the record. You do not have to keep carrying it. The seed you plant through the link in the description, or by scanning the code on your screen, is the act of someone who is choosing to hand it over. Not because what happened did not matter, it did, but because carrying the accounting was never yours to do, and the weight of it has redirected too much from where your energy was meant to go. Bring into that seed the specific outcome you blamed yourself for that now has a different explanation, not a list. The one thing, place it into the seed and release it to the one who held the full record from the beginning. Chosen one. I want to pause here and speak to something that has been one of the most painful parts of this entire dynamic. Not the betrayal itself, as devastating as that has been. Not the pattern of interference, as costly as that has proven. But something quieter, and in many ways more damaging than either of those things, the confusion. Because the confusion of loving someone and knowing something is wrong with how they treat you is one of the most disorienting experiences a person can walk through, especially when that person is family, especially when the relationship comes with decades of shared history, shared memories, shared identity. You do not simply stop loving a sister the way you stop caring about an acquaintance. The love is woven into who you are. And when the person you love is also the person doing harm, the heart does not know where to put any of it, so you carry both simultaneously, the love and the hurt, the loyalty and the warning, the hope that you are wrong about what you are seeing, and the growing certainty that you are not. That carrying has cost you more than you have ever allowed yourself to name. Type this. I am setting down the weight of confusion I was never meant to carry alone. It has taken energy that was meant for your calling and redirected it toward the endless and unresolvable work of making sense of something that does not make sense. It has kept you in a loop of processing and reprocessing again, hoping that eventually an angle would emerge that would make the picture of her actions compatible with the image you wanted to hold of her. And chosen one, that angle never came, because there is no angle from which what she did looks like love. Heaven is giving you permission today to stop trying to find that angle, to stop working so hard to make incompatible things compatible, to stop carrying the weight of a confusion that was never yours to resolve. What she did was not confusing at its core. What made it confusing was your love, your loyalty, your unwillingness to accept something painful about someone you care about. Those qualities are not weaknesses. They are signs of a generous and faithful heart. But they have been leveraged against you in this season. And heaven is calling time on that leverage today, chosen one. Here is what is happening to her right now, because the exposure is not a future event. It is already in motion. Heaven does not announce exposure and then wait. When God decides to reveal what is hidden, the process begins immediately, and it works from the inside of the situation outward. She is losing her grip on the narrative. The carefully constructed version of you that she placed in the minds of the people around you is beginning to show its seams. Questions are arising that she does not have clean answers for. People who accepted her version of events without much examination are beginning to look more closely. Not because of anything dramatic you did, not because of any confrontation or revelation you made, simply because truth has a half-life that deception does not. Given enough time and enough of your authentic light continuing to shine, the constructed version of you that she maintained will not hold. It requires constant maintenance, and she is discovering that the maintenance is becoming harder. The people who matter, the ones who were meant to see you correctly, are being given eyes to see. Heaven is creating moments of clarity in their perception. Small things that do not add up, recollections that resurface. Moments where they compare what they were told about you with what they actually observe in you, and the gap becomes impossible to ignore, and she knows something is shifting. She can feel the ground becoming less stable under what she built. The smoothness of the dynamic she managed is developing friction. And the most significant thing about this moment is that she cannot stop it. Because what heaven exposes cannot be resealed by human strategy, she will try. People who have built their sense of security on a constructed reality always try to shore up the walls when they feel them cracking. But chosen one, every effort she makes now will only accelerate the process. The truth does not slow down when it is challenged. It moves faster. Type, I believe if you trust that what God has set in motion on your behalf cannot be stopped by anyone. Type, what was redirected from me is being rerouted back. Now chosen one, let me speak to you about what this season requires of you, because the exposure that heaven is delivering is not an invitation for you to engage in the conflict. It is not permission to retaliate, confront, or build a case. The exposure is heaven's assignment, not yours. And your assignment in this season is something that requires more strength than confrontation. It requires you to release. Releasing does not mean pretending nothing happened. It does not mean returning to the kind of trust and closeness that was never actually safe. It does not mean absorbing what was done to you as though it was acceptable. Releasing means entrusting the accounting to the one who keeps perfect records. It means taking back the energy you have been spending on processing what she did and redirecting it toward what heaven has prepared for you. It means deciding that your peace is more valuable than her acknowledgement, that your elevation cannot be held hostage to a moment of apology that may or may not come. Chosen one, the validation you have been waiting for. The moment where the people around you finally see the full picture and understand what actually happened, that moment is coming. But you do not need it before you step into what is next. Heaven has already validated you. What was done to you was seen, recorded, and is being addressed. That is the only validation that has the power to actually restore what was taken. Human acknowledgement is beautiful when it comes, but it is not the foundation your next chapter stands on. God's record of your faithfulness and his intention to restore what was lost is that foundation. Type Amen. If you release the need for her acknowledgement and trust heaven to handle the accounting, type, the returning has begun. I receive what heaven is sending back. What heaven is releasing back into your life is already in motion. The seed you plant through the link in the description, the pinned comment, or by scanning the code on your screen right now does not start something that is waiting to begin. It joins something that is already moving. You are not planting toward a future that has not been decided. You are planting into a restoration that was written before the interference ever began. Bring into that seed the specific thing that was diverted, the relationship, the opportunity. The season that stalled without a clear explanation, place it in, and watch heaven return it, in the form it was always meant to take. Let me tell you what you were not wrong about, because chosen one of the deepest wounds this dynamic left was not the betrayal itself, but the self-doubt that came from carrying what you knew against the version of reality that was being presented around you. When everyone seems to accept a picture of the world that does not match what your spirit is telling you, and you cannot prove what you know, you begin to question your own perception. You begin to wonder whether the sensitivity that told you something was wrong was actually just oversensitivity, whether the discernment that flagged the pattern was actually just suspicion, whether the distance that grew between you and certain family members was actually your fault in ways you could not see clearly. You were not wrong, not about any of it. The feeling that something was off in that relationship was accurate perception, not paranoia. The unease when she was around was your spirit registering something that your mind was not ready to fully accept. The sense that the version of you that certain family members seemed to hold was slightly wrong, slightly distorted, slightly colored by someone else's perspective. That was not your imagination. It was observation. What your discernment told you about the pattern of interference in your seasons of breakthrough was real. Heaven is confirming it today so that you can finally set down the weight of self-doubt you have been carrying and walk into what is next with the full use of your own perception. You are not too sensitive. You are not too suspicious. You are not too much. You are a chosen one whose spirit was correctly reading what was happening and who carried that knowing faithfully even when you could not prove it, and even when no one around you seemed to see what you saw. That faithfulness, that endurance, that refusal to let go of your own truth even under pressure, is exactly the quality that heaven placed in you for what comes next. Because what comes next requires someone who knows how to hold what is true even when the evidence is slow to arrive. Type yes, Lord, if you receive the truth that your discernment was right and you were not wrong. Type amen. If you are ready to walk into what comes after the exposure. Chosen one, I also want to speak to you about the specific grief that comes with this kind of exposure. Because the truth about what she has been doing does not arrive without pain attached to it. When what was hidden becomes visible, the first emotion is rarely relief. It is often grief. Grief for the version of the relationship you wanted to have, but never actually had. Grief for the trust you extended that was not handled with care. Grief for the years of closeness that now look different in the light of what you know. Grief for the family dynamic you believed you were part of that was, at least in part, shaped by her management of it rather than by genuine mutual regard. That grief is real, and it deserves to be honored. It is not weakness to mourn a relationship that was not what you thought it was. It is not small to feel the loss of something even when that something was built on a distorted foundation. The mourning is appropriate. It is the honest response to an honest revelation. Let yourself feel it fully without rushing past it toward the resolution and the elevation that are coming. The grief does not cancel the restoration. It is part of the journey toward it. What you grieve, you release. What you release, heaven can restore. You cannot receive the fullness of what is coming while you are still holding tightly to the version of this relationship that you wanted it to be, but that was never actually there. Heaven is not asking you to be hard. It is not asking you to feel nothing. It is asking you to be honest, to let what was true be true, to let what was false be recognized as false, to let the grief of that recognition move through you rather than getting stuck in the loop of trying to make the false true again. When the grief has done its work, and it will do its work if you let it, what remains is something clean, something clear. The capacity to step into what is next without the weight of a relationship dynamic that was quietly pulling you backward the entire time you were trying to move forward. I want to tell you about the elevation that follows this exposure, because the story does not end with what is being uncovered. The story moves from exposure into restoration, and from restoration into advancement that no one around you saw coming. Here is what heaven is preparing. The people whose opinion of you was shaped by her version of events are going to encounter the real you in ways that make revision unavoidable. Not because you campaigned for yourself, not because you defended yourself or explained yourself or spent energy trying to correct the record, simply because the real you operating in the fullness of what was sealed over your life is more compelling than any constructed narrative about you. When they see you moving in your calling, operating in the gifts that were always in you, walking in the favor that was always written over your life, the story they were told will not be able to hold. The evidence of who you actually are will be too present to ignore. And chosen one, the same people who were given the wrong picture of you will be the witnesses to the correction. They will see the contrast between what they were led to believe and what they actually observe. And that contrast will carry its own message, one that you did not have to speak, one that heaven composed on your behalf, using the materials of your faithfulness and your refusal to become what the pressure tried to make you. The sister who managed your story will watch this happen. She will see the very people she influenced receive you in ways she did not prepare for. She will see the doors open that she quietly closed. She will see the recognition arrive that she subtly redirected. And she will understand, perhaps for the first time at the level where truth really lands, that what she attempted to prevent was never actually in her power to prevent. Chosen one, walk into this season tall. Walk in it quietly without announcement, without the need to make the correction visible. Let heaven make it visible. Let your life be the announcement. Let the opening of the doors be the statement. You carry something that cannot be kept hidden by any amount of strategy or management. Your light is too persistent. Your calling is too specific. Your assignment is too real to remain in the container that someone else tried to build around it. What was taken from you in this season, the relational ground, the opportunities that were diverted, the seasons of breakthrough that were interfered with, heaven is returning all of it, not with the same timing, not through the same doors, but with the same substance, and in some cases more, because God does not restore by returning you to the exact starting point. He restores by releasing to you what was always intended for you, including the portion that was delayed by interference. The sister situation is not the last word over your life. It is the cleared obstacle before the season that no one who was trying to limit you will be able to explain away or quietly redirect. It is the removal of what was in the path before the path opens fully. And chosen one, that path is opening now. Chosen one, let me speak to you about the relationships that are coming into your life in the season after this one. Because what God removes, He replaces. And what He replaces tends to be of a higher quality than what was removed. Because it arrives after the preparation that the difficult season produced in you. The connections that are coming are people who will see you accurately from the beginning. Not because you performed for them or managed their perception of you, but because they are not carrying the weight of a narrative that was built by someone with a competing agenda. They will encounter you directly. They will receive the actual you, the full you, the unedited and unmanaged you. And they will recognize what they are looking at, not with surprise, but with the quiet recognition that comes when two people who were meant to be in each other's life finally meet. These connections will feel different from what you have been navigating. There will be an ease to them that you may not immediately trust, because ease has not been the quality of your most significant relationships in this season. You have been conditioned through years of navigating dynamics that required constant management to associate depth with difficulty, to believe that if a relationship does not cost you something, it is not as real. But chosen one, that belief was installed by a dynamic that benefited from you working hard for love that should have been freely given. The connections that are coming will teach you that depth and ease are not opposites, that love does not have to be hard to be real, that being seen accurately does not require you to fight for it. You will also find that in these new connections your voice carries differently. The things you say will land. The way you see situations will be received as insight rather than dismissed as sensitivity. The gifts and the perspective and the quality of attention that you carry will be welcomed rather than managed. And in that environment of genuine welcome, chosen one, you will discover things about yourself that the previous dynamic was suppressing. Capacities you have that were not able to fully express themselves in a space that had a ceiling on your growth, or dimensions of your calling that were waiting for the right relational soil before they could take root. This is part of what the exposure is making room for. Not only the removal of what was harmful, but the arrival of what was always meant to be there in its place. Heaven does not operate in voids. When it clears a space, it is preparing it for something specific. And what is specific in this season is the quality of connection, community, and relational support that matches who you actually are and where you are actually going. Before we close, in the name of the Lord, if this word has confirmed what your spirit has been carrying quietly, if something in this message gave language to what you already knew, please consider supporting this ministry. You can find the link in the description below, or scan the QR code on your screens. Every seed you sow helps this word reach another chosen one who is still in the middle of this kind of situation and needs to know that heaven sees what is happening to them. May God return what you give multiplied in the form of every relationship restored, every door reopened, and every season of breakthrough that was delayed now arriving in full, chosen one. Receive this now. You were not wrong. You were not paranoid. You were not too much. You were chosen, discerning, and faithful in a season that required all three. What was hidden is now being exposed. What was interfered with is being restored. What was taken is being returned. Walk forward. Heaven has gone ahead of you. And what is waiting on the other side of this exposure is worth every moment of the wait. Chosen one last thing before you go. The sister in your life, whatever her name is, whatever form this dynamic has taken in your specific situation, is not the author of your story. She was a character in a chapter that is now closing. She does not have the pen. She never had the pen. The one who holds the pen of your life is the same one who sealed something over you before you were born, who watched every moment of what you walked through, who recorded every tear you carried in silence, and who is now writing the chapter that comes after the exposure. That chapter, chosen one, is one that neither she nor anyone who limited you in this season will be able to predict or prevent. Your story is not finished. It is turning, and the turn is in your favor. Amen.